My name is Greg Wilburn, and I will be discussing the Pass the Picture SDAIE strategy. The Pass the Picture SDAIE strategy is specifically designed to help English language learners participate in the classroom in order to use relevant academic vocabulary and concepts as part of a group to scaffold their learning. The way it works is that each group in the class is given a visual of a person and a sheet of paper with questions to help them create a personality or story later. The first student answers one question, and then using a timer, it goes from student to student to student, everyone answering a question. And at the end, there's a writing activity that puts it all together. Now, what does this strategy look like? Well, the Pass the Picture strategy has the following characteristics. It's fast-paced so students can learn quickly and really exercise their knowledge. It requires quick thinking about content-specific vocabulary, which promotes learning. It is group collaborative, and it's also engaging and scaffolded, which means students are getting support. And finally, it's comprehensible, so students can demonstrate their learning at all levels. How does this strategy help English language learners specifically? Well, Mari Haneda and Gordon Wells write that to learn the language, one actually has to use it. And much of their article is spent saying that as students are inundated with language, forced to practice it, that will help them most fruitfully learn how to use the English language. So ELLs encountering language makes them a part of the learning community, but also shows that what they have to say is valuable and contributes to the environment. What ELL students need is more of things, more speaking, more talking, all these things supported for them, because when this happens, this partially assesses their knowledge and helps them do well in the classroom. When and where can this strategy be used? This strategy should be used after an initial introduction to academic vocabulary and concepts that students need to remember. That way they can reference them in their learning and in activities. So the SDAIE strategies such as this integrate content, language, and social affective development, so students need to be secure in their language and their environment. This should be done anytime you need to recognize academic vocabulary, so it's semantic. On this slide is some information and research on why the Pass the Picture is such a good SDAIE strategy. Haneda and Wells talk about how learning a language is not only key for academics, but also for the survival of the student, because language is not a mastery of content only, it's a mastery of the English institution, and that has to be done as much as possible with practice. The next quote talks about how this type of strategy requires specific academic vocabulary and creates a shared understanding between students that gives everybody the ability to understand each other as best they can. And the last one talks about how whatever you do in your classroom is going to develop the students that they are to become, which is vitally huge to their learning. Looking forward, there's 3 things that every instructor has to keep in mind as they deal with English language learners, especially in using the Pass the Picture strategy, and even SDAIE strategies in general. First, students need to be interested and enthusiastic about what they're learning, so that way they share their vocabulary and their ideas, and that can be built into their learning to help them learn English more fluently. This is huge because they have to learn to master the language. Despite best efforts, teachers are going to face challenges. Be aware that it won't be perfect, but that if you keep trying and differentiate for your students, you will eventually find a way to best support them. And finally, that students can articulate themselves when you supply them with the language at hand, but you have to spend time making sure they can understand it and use it effectively. On this last slide are all the references of the resources I used for this presentation. Feel free to check them out if you'd like to learn more about SDAIE strategies. This is the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for listening.